Okay. Okay, are we waiting for anyone, Erica? On virtually? No, okay. Maybe just close the door. Thank you. Thank you. Call the roll, please. Here.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Here.
Councilman Santeen,
Here.
Councilman Fahet,
Here.
Councilman Vasquez.
Here.
There is a quorum present.
All right, thank you. Welcome everyone to the local planning agency meeting for Monday, October 9th. And we'll start with approval of the minutes for the September 11th meeting. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
We'll second that.
Any discussion? Call a vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, we move to public hearing items. We have 2 items up for consideration and I have 1 person signed up to speak on here. I just want to check if anyone else wanted to speak on here to make sure that they're signed up. Okay. All right, so Heidi, I'll let you read the ordinance,
Yes,
item 3A, and then we'll open it up for public hearing.
perfect. Mayor, and if you'll indulge me so that the members of the public who are here understand what we're doing this evening. We have 2 meetings. We have is it on? It's on, yeah. We have a 6:45 meeting on the local planning agency where we're hearing 2 items which are also being heard by the city council at its 7 PM meeting. These applications,
There you go.
much louder now. There are 3 applications that go with this site. You have an ordinance on a future land use map amendment, you have an ordinance for a rezoning, and then on your regular council meeting agenda, you have a resolution on a tentative plat. So first item, and during the local planning agency meeting, you are making a recommendation to yourselves. So right now you're sitting as local planning agency, you'll be making a recommendation for either approval with modifications, or denial of these 2 items to yourselves at the city council meeting. So you'll be hearing this item during the council meeting at 7 PM. So item 3A is an ordinance of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a small scale amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, changing the future land use map designation from religious institution to single family residential of a certain plus or minus 20.22 acre parcel of land located at the intersection of Esplanade Drive and Hibiscus Drive at hypothetical 425 Esplanade Drive, folio number 05-3119-020-0015, providing for authorization, providing for transmittal, and providing for an effective date. Our city planner, Alex David, is here. The applicant's counsel, Javier Vasquez of Berger Singerman, is also here. I know that all of you have had an opportunity to review the agenda item and you've had briefings on this. So we can either have presentations from staff or we can go into discussion. And certainly if you'd like, before you vote with your recommendation, you can take public comment.
Okay, I would like to have the presentation from staff, please.
Staff or the applicant?
From the staff and then the applicant, so that
Do it.
so that way our residents and anyone that's watching understands what's happening.
Yeah, you can do it together. So
The title
for the other one,
for B or?
do it, just do the phone.
Okay. Put my notes, so.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I am Alex David, Calvin Giordano and Associates, and also your city planner, one of them. The item before you tonight, as 3A is the redesignation of a property as was stated at theoretical 425 Esplanade from religious institution to single-family residential. So currently it's a parking lot, and we just put the aerial up so you can get oriented. The Baptist church is to the northeast, and the canals to the west and to the south, southwest, and across the canal are all single-family residential homes. Just to get a few technical things out of the way, we posted this property, which is required. We posted the property on 9/27. This was advertised, and mailings went to, per your code, to all property owners which are within 500 feet of this
Record.
property, which is 68 mailings. And then also per your code, all electors were notified of this proposal, and that totaled 4,282 mailings. Last Monday, the 2nd, we presented this item before the Zoning and Planning Board, and they recommended approval to you all as LPA and
Alex,
Council.
excuse me, what was the vote on that?
for, how many, one was,
It was
it
unanimous.
was unanimous. It was
4-0.
4-0.
Okay, thank you.
So again, as I stated, this request is to take this from the religious institution use to single family. There's a bit of a history. This parking lot was owned by the Baptist Church, as was the house, which has the blue tarp on it. Several years ago, it was subdivided, but not, it was a defective subdivision. It wasn't done properly. It was done by deed. So there was an issue with that. So that's one of the items before us tonight on the regular agenda. So
Alex, I just want to clarify for people who are listening. That subdivision, the city's not involved in that. So that's something that's
Mhm.
done through private parties in a transaction.
So in 2018 parcel, we're going to call it parcel 2, which is the house at 427 Esplanade, was a couple things happened on that. So we had one parcel tract A, it was in theory subdivided, and the city was the applicant for the church to redesignate the house and rezone the house property, what we're doing tonight. So they took care of the house by redesignating it to single family and rezoning it to R1B. So the southern half was done, the
I'm
northern.
sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please say that?
Should I repeat it? So the parking lot was never taken care of because it was still owned by the church. The applicants, R&J Portfolio LLC, did purchase the property in 2020 with the thought being that they would build a single family home. But we have to go through these processes to get them to that point. As I stated, the Zoning and Planning Board recommended approval. Staff is recommending approval of this application. So we would recommend that you recommend to yourselves approval of this redesignation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions?
No.
Alex? Okay, and then could we have the applicant, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council members, my name is Javi Vasquez. I'm a land use attorney with Berger Singerman. My offices are at 1450 Brickell Avenue, and I have the pleasure of representing R&J Portfolio LLC on this application. For the benefit of this council and the benefit of those listening, this is just one major cleanup opportunity for us. A little bit of a mess that was created by the church back in 18 and then in 2020 when it subsequently sold the two parcels. 18 was the one with the blue tarp, and my client bought this parcel in 2020. The subdivision that was made at that point was not a proper subdivision. So this is not only a flume amendment and not only a rezoning to allow for a single family home to be built on this parcel, but also a platting to make sure that by the time we are done with this process, it's a completely clean finality to a subdivision that should have been done, I guess, properly back in 2020. The application is before you. You heard Heidi tell you it's a flume amendment, a rezoning, and a T-plat. The history of the property is more than clear. I don't want to take any more time than necessary in this presentation. You do have a staff recommendation of approval, not only by your planning and zoning staff, but also your planning and zoning board. As Alex mentioned, this has been a rigorous process. Your code is significantly more rigorous than other codes, and I guess rightfully so. And by the time that my client got to the point of having to not only notify people within a certain radius, but every single elector, it was a bit of a shock. And she did that. And we're here again, respectfully requesting that you recommend to yourselves approval as per the other approval recommendations so that we can hopefully get the first reading of this out of the way tonight. I'm here to stay for any questions you may have. And thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Well, thank you.
Okay, then let's open it up for public hearing. And I have Tomas Martinez.
He's here he's here to speak.
The second
okay.
item. Okay, all right, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
And this is on item 3A only.
Motion to approve 3A.
Second.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
The motion carries.
all right, thank you. We move to 3B.
This is an ordinance of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a rezoning from P2 church use to R1B single family residential of a certain plus or minus 20.22 acre parcel of land located at the intersection of Esplanade Drive and Hibiscus Drive at hypothetical 425 Esplanade Drive. Folio number 05-3119-020-0015, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date.
Hello again.
Yes, please.
Long time. Just for the record, I'll read what we did, the mailings and postings again, or should we just?
I think you can adopt your comments.
Okay, I'm adopting the mailings, the posting and everything else to this item from the last item. Again, this is one of the companion items to the redesignation, the flume redesignation. Currently, the parking lot is P2, which is only church use, and the request is to rezone the property to R1B, which allows single-family homes. And everything I've stated before is basically the same, the history, no changes. And again, the zoning and planning board recommended approval 4-0, and staff is recommending approval of this application.
Okay, thank you, Alex. I do have a question. With this switching to single family homes, I want to clarify that it's only, the switch is for single family homes that
One single family.
one home, it cannot be a duplex or multifamily or anything, what we're switching for that. And also the other thing I wanted to clarify is that the reason that this is being cleaned up is because these are transactions that happened between the church and buyers, and the city was not notified about it, not involved with it at all. And the buyer is trying to
Right.
clean up
That's what our
the housekeeping. on
research
this.
has concluded. There was no involvement by the city
Okay.
on this transaction.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion.
All right,
Motion to approve 3B. please.
any discussion? Call a vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
The motion carries.
all right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you both. Okay, so that we can adjourn I didn't do a public hearing. For the
I think
second one.
there was no one
nobody
signed up.
for the second.
The
Okay,
person
okay.
was-
I want to make sure we have to go back. All right, then we're going to adjourn our LPA meeting for tonight. And unless anyone has a problem, we'll just move right into, it's 7:00, so we'll get started with our regular council meeting. Erica, can you call the vote, please?
Mayor,
The roll, excuse me.
Mayor Mitchell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bravo.
Here.
Councilman Santeen,
Here.
Councilman Behet,
Here.
Councilman Vasquez. There is a quorum present.
All right, I'll stand, please, if you're able, for the invocation by Councilman Santeen.
Lord, thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing the appropriate responsibilities. Today, I pray for our mayor, all levels of city officials in Miami Springs, including this particular assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant us the wisdom to govern and the sense of welfare to true needs of our community.
Thank you.
Amen.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, hello, everyone, and welcome to the City Council, Miami Springs City Council meeting for October 9th. It's always nice to see so many happy faces in the audience to join us.
Oh, okay.
If you are planning to speak or would like to speak, you do need to sign up. All right, we'll get started with, well,
Tomas, did
Oh,
you
no,
sign
that's
up
for LPA.
on the correct sheet?
okay.
Yeah, okay, you have an AD, right?
On the other one too.
Oh.
Perhaps if you wouldn't mind, maybe getting on this side of the room for the line, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our meeting. And thank you. All right, let's get started with Yard of the Month awards and presentations for this meeting. And we have the Yard of the Month award. My understanding is the Fernandez family is not able to be here tonight to accept it. Are they here? You're not here. Okay, I want to make sure. So we are really excited to give the certificate of the Yard of the Month for October to Yasset and Madeline Fernandez at 1110 Oriole Avenue, 1110 Oriole Avenue. And we always are very grateful to the families that win the award for the Yard of the Month because they're beautifying our city. So I encourage all of you sometime this month to drop by, drive by 1110 Oriole and check out the October Yard of the Month. And thank you to the Fernandez family for making Miami Springs beautiful. We'll get the certificate to them. Okay, so we'll move to open forum. All right,
I believe you have open forum.
this is for.
This is for an
item.
agenda item.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So, well, but they're at the podium, so
Here.
let you finish and then we'll call up to speak at open forum. We have Alberto Gomez. Yes, sir. Come on up. And just as soon as this young lady finishes, we'll let you speak at the podium. And just as a reminder to everyone, if you want to speak at a council meeting, you need to be here before 7 and sign up. We're making an allowance this time, but the signature is before the meeting starts that you sign the clipboards that are on the podium in the future. All right. Mr. Gomez.
Well, this is the first time I'm being here.
And excuse me, I just want to say, with the open forum, I want to make sure everyone understands this is one-way communication. So we listen to you, we're all ears, but we don't respond.
Okay.
And you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, my name is Alberto Gomez, 1985, Westshore Drive. I lived there since 1980. And I'm very proud to live here in Miami Springs. And the people, especially you guys, I'm very happy to have our representative of all residents of Miami Springs. One of the things that I'm really concerned about it is what's going to happen, not tomorrow, yesterday. We gotta be ready for that. Before anything changes happening today, we have a big problem concerned about traffic. We have very limit to get into the city or get out of the city. So I would like to have you in the state of Florida or Miami-Dade County get together, trying to see how we can gonna solve the problem that we have already with traffic. So I'm thinking about like a Okeechobee light. That's the one that is making everything here don't move. So both parties has to be together to try to get this one easier. The other one is trying to use 4 Avenue, East,
Mhm.
trying to make it that light more accessible for people get out of Miami Springs. Trying to get some kind of help from this only exit here at the circle to go to Okeechobee or Hialeah. I think for now, that's all I want to know.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your input and your recommendations. Okay, so I don't have anyone else signed up for open forum. We'll move to approval of the council minutes for the September 25th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Fahed,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. We'll move to item 8, public hearings, and we have item 8A, first reading.
Mayor and council, good evening once again. This is the same ordinance that you just heard sitting as the local planning agency. So we'll take item 8A first, but items 8B and C are related to the same property. So item 8A is an ordinance of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a small scale amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, changing the future land use map designation from religious institution to single family residential of a certain plus or minus 0.22 acre parcel of land located at the intersection of Esplanade Drive and Hibiscus Drive at hypothetical 425 Esplanade Drive. Folio number 05311902000015, providing for authorization, providing for transmittal, and providing for an effective date. I believe that Mr. David will be presenting incorporating his presentation from just a few moments ago, and I'm sure Mr. Vasquez, in the interest of time, is doing the same. And if council has any questions, you are certainly open to ask them. We can also open the public hearing on item 8A and proceed.
Hello, I'd like to move everything forward from the LPA item, which was 3A to 8A.
Okay, thank you, Alex. And I'm guessing the applicant?
Just for the record,
two
my name is
also.
Javi Vasquez, 1450 Brickell. Once again, I'm the applicant. Simply incorporating my comments from the LPA presentation by reference for all 3 of the items on your council agenda. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll open it up for a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on item 8A? I don't have anyone signed up. Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
D is an ordinance of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a rezoning from P2 church use to R1B single family residential of a certain plus or minus 0.22 acre parcel of land located at the intersection of Esplanade Drive and Hibiscus Drive at hypothetical 425 Esplanade Drive, folio number 05311902000015, providing for authorization and providing for an effective date. Mayor and council, this is again an ordinance on first reading. I'm sure Mr. David and Mr. Vasquez are reincorporating their presentation. As a reminder, since this is an ordinance, we will have second reading at the next council meeting on October 23rd.
The record, Alex?
Alex, David, I would like to incorporate all my comments from LPA agenda item 3B into regular
8B.
council meeting 8B.
Thank you.
Once again, Javi Vasquez, also incorporating my comments from 8B,
From 3B to 8B.
from 3B to 8B.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Any questions for either of them? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call a vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo?
Yes.
Were there any
Oh,
comments? Sorry.
Sorry.
public hearing.
Sorry,
Anyone
I,
signed up?
yes, let me ask. I don't have anyone signed up for, I have someone signed up, people under 9D. We don't have a
I
9D.
think it's probably 8D.
Okay, I have 8D also. So, right, that's a 9D up top.
Like you were.
Mikey, did you mean 8D? And people followed suit after you? Okay.
Yeah,
I
with the
just-
program.
That's okay. Just wanna make sure that we listen to whoever wants to speak. All right, so I don't have a public hearing. I'm opening the public hearing on 8B. I'm closing the public hearing. All right, and we'll take the vote. I have a first and a second already.
Vice Mayor Bravo?
Yes.
Councilman Santeen?
Yes.
Councilman Behet?
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you. We'll move to item 8C.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a tentative plat application by R&J Portfolio LLC for property located at the intersection of Esplanade Drive and Hibiscus Drive at hypothetical 425 Esplanade Drive, folio number 05311902000015, providing for conditions, providing for violations, providing for authorization, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Council, this is, you did not hear on the LPA on this one, but you did get hints of it from Mr. David. And I'm sure he might say this, but just in case, this is a tentative plat. So the process is that once it is approved by the council, it'll go to the county for their review. The county will then send back comments. And then it'll come back to the city council for approval as a final plat.
And just so we're all clear,
Probably
this
be
is actually
sometime next year.
giving the parking lot an address.
I'm sorry?
This is giving
That'll
the
take-
parking lot an address.
As part of the
That's a-
process.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ms. Sarah said basically what I was going to say. And I was just going to explain that this is one step in a several step process to get the defects removed and create the plat for this lot. The surveyor, or Calvin Giordano, an associate surveyor, reviewed the tentative plat. There were minor tweaks and they were corrected. So before, in the package is the actual plat that was reviewed, which will also be sent to the Miami-Dade County for their rigorous review. So this tentative plat does generally meet the requirements of your code. As I said, it was reviewed. We'll see you on this item in 2024 sometime, because it does take quite a long time to get through the county process. And with that, we're recommending approval.
Thank you. This went before the local planning agency
it
board
went-
also?
So it's
No.
not required to.
It's not.
Zoning and Planning Board last week, and they recommended approval. This is only, the other two items, the ordinances require 2 readings, so you'll
Okay.
see as stated in 2 weeks. This item only requires 1 hearing by you, so you'll have the second hearing next year.
All right, thank
So-
you.
Right now, it's just the 1 hearing.
Thank you. Any questions for Alex? All right, so let's see, let's open this up. We have to have a public hearing on this. Also, is there anyone that, I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this, but is there anyone that wishes to speak on this? I'll allow you to speak. Okay, I'm closing the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 8C.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Mm.
Call the vote,
Property
please.
approved.
Vice Mayor Bravo?
Yes.
Councilman Santeen?
Yes.
Councilman Behet?
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you October 23rd. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a
right.
great night.
Thank you, you too.
Okay.
All right, we move to 8D.
8D is an ordinance on second reading of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, amending section 150-070.1 Miami Springs Gateway Overlay District within Article 7 Business District of Chapter 150 Zoning Code of the city's Code of Ordinances to amend the list of uses permitted on first floor levels along road rights of way, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and council, as we were directed at first reading of this ordinance, just about a month ago, we have amended the ordinance as you requested. And those changes are in highlight and strike through on your ordinance packet, which it's a 5-page ordinance, and so those are on page 3. As we discussed during the briefings, you have several options with what you can do this evening. You can adopt the ordinance as presented. You can adopt the ordinance with modifications. I do want to caution, the notice for this ordinance is specific to uses. So I know that there were, I want to address some comments that we received from some members of the community that were concerned with other aspects of the ordinance related to having to come into compliance when you're doing a renovation or a remodeling. Those matters, and I know you were all copied on those. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to review. But I did take the time to look at those concerns. I understand the concern, and it is something that I've spoken with our planning staff, and we will have to address at some future point in time. It's not part of this ordinance. There are times that we're able to make changes to ordinances on second reading from the dais, and that's not a problem. But for that specific request, as it pertains to whether the gateway overlay deals with remodeling and renovations, that is not something that we can address in tonight's ordinance. So I wanted to get ahead of that and ameliorate any concerns you might have on that. As far as the uses, as I explained during our briefings, you're able to accept these revisions as you requested at first reading. You can make modifications to the use list. You can decide to go in a different direction. This is a purely a policy legislative making function at this point. So you have a lot of latitude in what you're able to do. Just to briefly go through what this ordinance does. The ordinance is strictly limited in its scope to increasing the types of uses that are permitted in the entire gateway overlay. I want to be clear about that because I know that there's many people who think that this ordinance only deals with one building. It does not. It is applicable district-wide. The existing uses in the district provide for first floor uses, and I should also clarify that this ordinance amends only first floor uses. The ordinance currently provides for restaurants and or retail use on first floors. That's what's in your code already. What this ordinance amendment would do is clarify that restaurants provide for restaurants and lounges, cafes, and cafeterias. It retains retail uses, and then it adds 3 uses. The first addition are office uses, which include medical and dental. At first reading, you requested that we further define what a medical or dental office use would mean. And so that text is included in the proposed ordinance. The ordinance also provides for the addition of personal services such as barbershops, beauty parlors, physical therapy clinics, and massage parlors within the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. along Hook Square frontage only. And finally, the ordinance provides for the additional use of veterinarian uses. And those are also within a certain frontage along Hook Square, Canal Street. And it also provides for a distance requirement of 0.3 airline miles between those types of uses. So you can't have a vet use closer than that. And that was an increase in the distance requirement from 0.25. At first reading, you requested that we increase that to 0.30, so those changes are reflected in the ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions, and this is a public hearing, so I don't know, Mayor, if you want to have discussion among the council and then have public comment.
I would rather hear from the community and then we'll open it up for discussion. So, okay, I have several names signed up here. I want to make sure everyone that's signed up here, is there anyone that signed up to speak on anything other than this? Okay, because, all right, just because since the agenda item, some of you signed up under another agenda item. All right, so I'm going to call you up. This is a public hearing. It is one-way communication, which means that you have all our ears. We're all ears. You speak, we listen, we don't respond. Okay? So it's a chance to direct your comments to all of us, plus our city staff. You have 2 minutes. So please be succinct, be brief. When the 2 minutes are up, Erica will be timing. And when the 2 minutes are up, you know, even if you're in the middle of the sentence, kindly say thank you and allow the next person to speak. Okay. Thank you so much for your courtesy, and we'll go ahead and get started. And please come up here to the podium when you're ready to speak. Michael Gavilla.
Michael Gavilla, 223 North Royal Point, Sienna. I do support them to have it at the town center. I'm a resident, but a lot of them do live here and work here. Let's support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. I'm going to ask you, please, let's not, if you want, do this. Okay.
Jazz
And
hands.
that way we can
Jazz
move,
hands.
you can do this and we'll see you moving. All right. Okay. The next one is Alina Garcia. And then after that, just so you get ready, the next one is Dr. Hernandez.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Alina Garcia. I'm the state rep for District 115. My address is 10165 Southwest 100 Avenue. And I am here today to support the change of use for the town center. My mom was a hairdresser, and she was a single mom, and I've been a single mom. And Mari, the lady that owns M Salon, Maribel Martin, is also a single mom. And she has her business across the way, and the only way that she can grow her business is moving. It would be a shame if she would have to move out of Miami Springs. We don't have that many commercial properties here, and maybe you could, I don't know a lot about your code here, but maybe she could have a one-time business to transfer the lease, you know, that for the use that she has, or, you know, if you could approve this, this would be wonderful. So thank you so much for your time, and I urge you to approve this.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, Dr. Hernandez. Yes.
Good evening, council, city manager. I'm Dr. Hernandez. I'm also a resident of Miami Springs, and I'm here today just as a prospective business owner at the Miami Springs Town Center. A few weeks ago, we were here voicing our concerns about the necessity of the approval of the amendments for the Gateway Overlay District. And I'm here again today because we've been raising this concern for 9 months now. And all the businesses that want to be established there are your residents. They're here in the audience. We work here, we're all professional, and we want to stay here. This amendment is fair to just address that it's just looking for a fair environment in the Gateway District. Also, we open the possibility of just find a balance between non-retails and retail businesses here. This is just gonna grow our economy. It's gonna be fair to the community. And this is something that it's a service that our city will benefit from it. I'm here just to ask that I really appreciate your support and your commitment to the city. And I believe and I have faith that you're gonna be fair and you're gonna vote for the right solution. And I humbly request that this cannot develop a vendetta against developers. They just come and go. And I always say that because this is a decision that has to be centered in our community. It has to be of our community, about the residents, about who lives here and what we want to do. And we should not favor any businesses owner that they don't live in the Springs, and we just gave them the privilege to be successful within our borders. So I'm here to humbly request your yes vote to grant us permission to open our businesses here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Tomas? Can you read this? With an M. Martinez, okay, you signed.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Tomas Martinez. I live in 349 De Leon Drive for the past 42 years. 42 years. I know this Mary with the beauty shop right across where the building, and she's a single mother. The reason I'm here is because of her. But after I see all of these people, I want to do it for them too, because don't kill anybody's dreams. No, they all from here. They all belong in Miami Springs. That's why we have a t-shirt. Okay. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much, and think about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ernie Tomas?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, council members and staff. My name is Ernie Thomas. I own 29 Palmetto Drive, just off the circle where we have 12 wonderful families now living in Miami Springs. Many of them were retired couples, sold their homes and moved into the apartment to stay close to the community they love. I have some grandparents that have moved into the area to be close to their kids that live in Miami Springs. All in all, we have a great group of people living over there. I've had the honor of being in Miami Springs for the last 2 years, almost every day. I think my wife thinks I live here, building the structure over there and getting everything at least up and ready to go. And through that time, I've noticed a lot of the positive changes. In particular, I was concerned about a lot of the vacancy rates that were in the downtown area. My wife and I made a huge investment here. And that vacancy rate is a big deal to us because it does affect tenants who want to move here or tenants who honestly want to stay here. And so I'm grateful to the maker of the item. I think this is an issue that needed to be resolved. It's a big problem. I guess to use a grocery term, there was a little spill on aisle 9 and we're cleaning it up is what it looks like. So I'm appreciative of that. While the focus has been on the town center, I'd like to draw your attention to one South Royal Ponciana. I look at that constantly because it's right across from my building. It's been remodeled. It looks good. I'm happy to see the new stores going in there. But I notice some of the stores that are going in there are personal services. They're not restaurants. They're not retail. And if we're going to be consistent and fair across the overlay district, I think we need to look at that carefully. Now, there is an exception in your code, but I don't believe it falls under that exception. That's my personal opinion. And I'm hopeful that if it was accepted, that it's well documented.
Thank you, sir. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
I ask that you please approve the item.
Thank you. Frank Espinosa?
Mayor, I request that could please be last.
Okay. Okay, Nicholas Rodriguez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, staff, everyone. Nicholas Rodriguez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, representing Semilia Veterinary Services. I'm joined by Dr. Gutierrez, who's just fresh off of work here from a veterinary practice in another part of Miami-Dade County. And like many residents and community members, many of which are here tonight, Dr. Gutierrez sought to pursue his dream and open a business in Miami Springs and serve the very community in which he lives in. We're asking the council to do the right thing tonight and adopt an ordinance that allows veterinary uses on the ground level of the Gateway Overlay District. The ordinance that's before you tonight accomplishes that goal. Also, a modified version of the ordinance that's before you tonight would also accomplish that goal. Whatever it is, we're asking you to do the right thing. Unquestionably, the ordinance that's before you tonight is within your legislative authority. So whatever's been said or whatever will be said about spot zoning, equal protection, that has no place here. But failing to act today would be a huge mistake by this council, especially in light of the circumstances that we find ourselves in here today. And those circumstances are one in which Dr. Gutierrez, like any responsible business owner, sought a very clear due diligence and got an in writing confirmation that his use would be permitted. He then expended hundreds of thousands of dollars on contracts and leases and things to make his business possible. Then only after 6 months of permitting did the city rip that approval from underneath his feet. Fortunately, we live in a country of laws, and under state and federal law, the city cannot lead a property owner or a business owner to the doorstep of an approval and then snatch that from him. But what Dr. Gutierrez really wants is to operate his veterinary practice. It's an innovative veterinary practice that focuses on reducing stressors on animals and making sure that they have better outcomes. This is a huge benefit for Miami Springs residents and exactly the type of business that this council should be promoting. So again, all we're asking you to do is to do the right thing, treat Dr. Gutierrez with fairness and respect, and adopt an ordinance today that allows veterinary
you.
uses. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Okay, we have Nicholas Rodriguez. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I just called you. Okay, Nicholas Camps. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Madam Mayor, the council. I'm Dr. Nicholas Camps. I'm an infectious disease specialist in Miami Beach. I live at 246 Apache. Been a Miami Springs resident now for 7 years. My wife, born and raised in Miami Springs, has taken my transplanted roots and made me a believer in Miami Springs. I'm here to support the ordinance being modified, not just for, obviously her, but everybody else that I've had the privilege of meeting in the last few months. I think it would be a great thing to see the consistency with this decision in terms of the types of businesses that we could allow there, both mixture of retail, food, and professional, where we're seeing medical services particularly is what I was asked to kind of speak for. So the only thing I really ask is just a consistency from the board and making a good, fair decision for everybody and put a closure to this. I think that is the most fair thing that we're looking for. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Francois Sayes.
Good evening, board, council members, mayor. I'm here to talk about obviously the decisions you guys have in front of you. Listen, guys, we're locals. I mean, I've been here 31 years. This is literally how my family eats, how my kids eat. We all have families and kids in the same community. And if I was in this community, I want everybody in my community to make millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why? Because then all the money's kept in the community. Myself, I try to do as many functions as I can in Miami Springs, gas stations, as much as I can, banking, and I have supported certain businesses here in this town that now try to go against my business or the way I feed my family. And it's just incredible that people that don't live in the city have opinions on other people's businesses in the city. It's just incredible. But I know you guys are very fair. I know you'll do the right decision tonight. And guys, this is a big decision. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars between the people, maybe millions of dollars here. For sure, millions of dollars. Okay. And not only the dollars, the dreams of people. So a very simple solution can come out of this tonight. And I hope it does. The light always shines its way into the darkness. And I hope it does tonight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Demi Mecras. Perhaps you could state your name.
Deem Mekris.
Okay.
I'm at 7480 Bird Road. Good evening this evening. Thank you for the time. I'm here in support of this ordinance. I believe that would allow these businesses to open. And I want to advocate for entrepreneurialism in general. I'm a small business owner myself. My heart really goes out to these folks because It takes big risk and a lot of gall to put your name on the line, sign personally for guarantees on leases, sign personally for guarantees on loans. You mentioned hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps even millions of dollars. You're gonna say, oh, well, he's a veterinarian, he makes good money. Yeah, but we all value dollars, not because it's money, because it represents units of time and sacrifice. Because whatever he didn't do or she didn't do in her med spa business, in terms of vacations or schooling or a nicer car or any of those things, to save up, to invest in a business, which, by the way, ultimately will create jobs, more jobs in the area. Mari in particular employs 8 people. My understanding is going to be going to 10 or 12 when she moves to the larger space. And these are all businesses that I think will support the community. I don't really understand why anybody would stand in the way of that. I'm sure you have your rationale, and I'm not studied on the code, so I'm not going to pretend to be. But I would like to think that as community members yourselves, that you'd want to support small business owners. That is the lifeblood of certainly Miami Springs. I mean, like, we have the airport, of course, and there's some major employers there, but the rest of us are dependent either for the services and the products or for the jobs themselves. In terms of the uses allowed, I heard the city attorney reading what uses are being added: office, medical, dental, personal services, veterinary uses. I mean, don't we all need more animal lovers in the community? I mean, like life's hard enough as it is. And why would it be made harder for business owners? So you have wide latitude, as the city attorney said. I encourage you to use it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Joven Rojas.
Hello, Council.
Hello.
Good evening. So I don't know a block in Miami Springs that doesn't have mixed use. Like every commercial block is mixed use. So I understand why it's prohibited. Like this is the only place that can have. I think that's that's part of like the reason why I'm trying to support these people. I seen Dr. Sayas like a little kid all excited that he's gonna get a new place. Then I see him bummed out that he can't get it, and then he gets approved again. And this back and forth is just unethical. It's wrong. And I hope you guys, make the right decision and help these people.
Thank
Get
you.
the- Thank you.
Elena Rodriguez.
Remember my glasses this time. So, hello, my name is Elena, and I'm a longtime resident of Miami Springs. I'm here to express my support of our local businesses' desire to improve specifically M Salon and Spa, my hairdresser, as well as my daughter's hairdresser, my mother's hairdresser, also a Miami Springs resident. As you know, the spot at the entrance of Miami Springs has been extremely chaotic from the start. Several local residents with businesses located in Miami Springs would like to move to this new spot, but are currently in a tennis match of yes and no. I am confused as to the issues, as there are several similar businesses in the area that were recently approved and opened. It is unjust to say yes to some and not to all. I would prefer to see the building in full use rather than have the disaster that is Doral with hundreds of empty storefronts. Please listen to these residents. Please listen to these businesses and make the change to allow these businesses to open. And just to give a little, since I have time, so that you understand who Mari is. Mari is the type of person who allowed my daughter, who's sitting back, who was so excited to come because she wanted to see the government at work, sell her chocolates for Blessed Trinity this past weekend in her store. She let her sit there. She bought a ton of chocolate. She takes care of my daughter like if that was her niece. So I want to see her strive. I want to see her succeed. And I think she deserves that as a Springs longtime resident and as the person that she is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Maribel Martin.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
You can lower that if you need to.
Here one more time. hopefully we'll have a yes tonight. Thank you for all my fellow business owners. What we asking is to be fair and let us grow. You know, we're all proud to live and work in Miami Springs. Just give us that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now Mr. Espinosa, your last.
Thank you. Before you reset the clock, just one quick second. Thank you to all of you to come up and see.
Thank you. Sir.
Frank Espinosa, 5000 Southwest 186th Avenue, Southwest Ranches. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm here to support this particular item. You've heard from many people. They've invested hundreds of thousands, and between all 5 businesses, it's about $2.5 to $3 million of investment that these owners are going to do in this particular space. But I get it. 20 years ago, I ran for commission in Broward County. I understand the due diligence that you all have to do. I understand the tough decisions that you all have to do. And at the end of the day, as best as I can understand everything that's been going on here for the last 10 months, you have 3 forks in the road. You have the easy way out, you have the hard way out, and you have the CYA way out. And I say that because the easy way out is you vote no for everything. It was another commission that did this. It was another city manager that did this. It was another city attorney that did this. And you can kind of wash your hands with an easy way out vote. The hard vote is to right size the boat and put these business owners that are residents, that are investing in this community, and vote yes for them and allow these 5 uses to come into this overlay district. And the CYA vote is you say no to 4 and 1 to yes, only because you know what happened. You gave him an approval, you swiped it up from under his feet, as his attorney said, and then you'll have a legal challenge. So why don't you just right size the boat and say yes to all 5? You said in one meeting you didn't have enough money to pay for a second police officer. You said in another meeting, Mayor, if I can quote your words to some degree, you want to show developers that the city is here to help redesign 36th Street. So I totally ask you, please make the hard vote yes to all 5. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all that spoke here. And I say this at every meeting, you've taken time to be here. And that means a lot to us. And I know we hear from a lot of residents and business owners also by emails and calls and stuff. But for everyone that provides input to us, not just on this issue, but all the issues that come before the council and all the city issues that we're considering, we do greatly appreciate everyone's input, and everyone's input is valued. We can't please everyone, but that doesn't mean that your input is not valued by any means. So thank you all for being here. Okay, so that closes the public hearing. I have no one else scheduled to speak. And I'm going to propose something. I propose, and I'm going to preface this with, I can hear from a lot of what they're saying here, there's a lot of misunderstanding and not understanding the issue exactly of what is before us. We created a gateway district. A special gateway district was created by the city. And the purpose for that was to make it different from our other business districts, to create something, actually the gateway district, which would be active nightlife and restaurants and that kinds of things. In that, we allowed developers who wanted to take advantage of the enhancements, the opportunity for increased density, reduced parking, and a whole bunch of other, what would I say, allowances, if they wanted to take advantage of it, and they don't have to, but if they did, this is what was available to them. And also there are issues of whether it's ground up construction. So I'm just kind of clarifying that because I'm hearing a lot of kind of misinformation. And if you watch the city council meetings, if you keep up, and I encourage you all to do that on a regular basis, it's your city, you'll hear the background to these things. But this is the issue with the ordinance that it's written right now. We're reacting to this reminds me of, someone who's had a lot of plastic surgery and this nip and cut, they nip and cut and then they have another nip and cut to correct that and another nip and cut. And we need to look at this as a larger picture of the entire Gateway District. The focus has been, and again, I value everyone's input, but we're talking about a small portion of one building, actually. And we need to keep in mind that this is the Gateway District. It's a very large district. Some of these things that are on here are further nipping and tucking areas without us really considering them. So what I'm going to propose is this. With the veterinarian, that we direct the city attorney to settle with the veterinarian, reach a settlement with him, and that the rest of, that we don't vote on this second reading, or we don't approve the second reading, and relook at this and relook at it with the purpose of allowing other businesses to come in throughout, as a large picture. This is what our city entails. We owe it to our city to make sure that it's not because one business wants to be there or not. It's that we're really looking at the Gateway District to benefit the entire community and the purpose that it was supposed to accomplish.
Mayor, can you clarify what you mean by settle with the veterinarian?
To the chair.
Excuse me, anyone that gives I'll ask you to leave. Okay, you've had your turn to speak, and I asked that at the beginning for you to be respectful. We will not tolerate disrespect. So if you want to make comments, you're free to do them, but please do so outside. Thank you. Okay. Heidi, could you explain what could take place with the settlement with,
Absolutely.
with the veterinarian, what?
So as I explained at the beginning of my,
And I'm sorry, I'm saying the veterinarian because I get confused with the names. Dr. Gutierrez, I want to give you full respect.
so what the mayor is referring to is, we're all aware of the approval, the council's all aware of the
Excuse me.
approval
If
that
anyone's
was
talking,
given,
please go outside.
on the zoning side, for the veterinarian office at 1 Curtis Parkway. So if we were to receive the direction from council this evening, my office would reach out to Mr. Rodriguez and see if we can come to an amicable settlement that would allow his client to remain at the site. I think that's the direction that the mayor and I discussed was, and I think what we would do is enter into a settlement with him specifically to stay at the site. And we'll have to figure out what sort of time frame would work, but we would discuss that between council to council.
So that would be a finite amount of amortized amount of time,
We would have to come up with a time frame that works, that's acceptable to both parties.
And that's fair to the business owner that's coming in to the site. And would leave that to.
okay. Can I make a comment?
And the rest of the second reading of this, I have serious concerns, and the purpose for a first reading and a second reading is for that, for us to get input from the community. I think we all have gotten input from the community as to concerns with this. And that it really, we need to look at the entire Gateway District. That's what this ordinance does. It changes the entire Gateway District, but it's really, like I said, nip and tucks that aren't, that we're going to regret later. I totally want to encourage new businesses to be in the Gateway District. And from what I've heard tonight and from, what we've all heard since this issue started, I think that is our intent for all of us.
Mayor, if I can just clarify on a potential settlement. That would come back to council if we receive the direction. Obviously, any settlement would come back to the council for approval. So that's not something that obviously I cannot enter into a settlement on behalf of the city under our code. So I would bring that back for your approval. And it would be specific only to the veterinarian. And it would be a settlement agreement. It's
No,
not an
sir.
ordinance.
discussing. Thank you.
I have a question and then I'll follow that up with some comments.
We'll talk about
Okay,
that.
again, if there's anything, it'll talking outside, okay? No, she's directing her comments to us right now. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a quick question, Mayor, if you'll allow, and then I have some comments. So Heidi, there's no guarantee that a settlement means that it has to be agreed upon by both parties.
The other side would have to agree to it.
Right, would have to agree to. it. Okay, all right. So the comments that I have are very similar to the comments that I made when this was originally proposed. There's a lack of consistency within the overlay district, and I've spoken to some of the original architects of the overlay district because I wanted to get a sense of like what was the spirit of what you guys were, why you were creating the district. I know that you're aware of it because you were on the council there. Currently, there are people in the overlay district who not only were grandfathered in, but then were able to change their uses and didn't have to become restaurant and retail, and that was brought up. And that is because the ordinance allowed it because they pulled the permit because they were doing some kind of remodeling. But the fact remains that there are now new businesses that got their business tax receipt that went through the city that were allowed to change the use, and they are service retail businesses, and they were allowed. The other, just kind of quickly reviewing what was kind of driving at least my support for opening up the strike zone, as I like to think of it. The vacancy, we had a gentleman who mentioned the vacancy rate. I'm very concerned that we're going to have empty storefronts because there are businesses, like I just mentioned, that are being allowed to be service retail there, and they're changing the uses and still being allowed in the overlay district. But because new construction is required, the code requires that new construction only have restaurant and retail. That's not necessarily fair for any new construction. And I worry that we're going to continue to have a high vacancy rate. And that's a concern. We discussed that service retail is a good mix post-COVID, and I understand that the overlay district was done before COVID. Service retail allows, and I gave as an example when we discussed this months ago, that I used to take my son to the pediatric doctors at Merrick Park, and they have a very successful business. It's right next to Nordstrom. And there's no incongruence there because when you have service retail, it's a good mix. Everybody knows we have a parking issue in Miami Springs. When you have service retail, there's a lunch crowd. People come, they patronize those service retail locations. You've got, offices, medical, dental, those kinds of things. Those people have lunch. And then when those people close around 6 o'clock, they go, and then the people that want to come in for dinner, they come in. So it's a good mix because the parking kind of allows for that, rather than thinking that you're just going to have all restaurant and retail in particular, like a place like the town center that's got 16 bays, and to think that it's all going to be a bunch of restaurants that are competing against each other. I think I really worry that it's going to be very hard to fill. We've got residents that have been for months coming and pleading, and even though we have some legal entanglements when it comes to Dr. Gutierrez, because he was approved in writing twice to be in there, there were other business owners who happened to be current Miami Springs business owners, current residents, and they saw that he was approved, and that gave them the green light to move forward. Okay, and to even sign leases and to try to carry out this dream of being able to live here in this town and also work here. So just because we have legal entanglements with the veterinarian doesn't mean that there weren't people that have been pleading with us to please allow them to be in here. I think that for reasons of fairness, it's the right thing to do. I think it's what's best for the district. I know that some people, I know that some people feel like this project has taken time, and I know that there's been some bad publicity for the developer. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care about the developer. I care about that district. We've talked about that on the Hook Square side of the town center. You don't have the large, sidewalks that allow that allow for the kind of foot traffic that you want, that you're promoting on the Canal Street side or on the Curtis Parkway side. That's facing the Prime Fitness side of Hook Square. I think that that would be an excellent place to allow some established business owners who are dying to get in here, who are dying to get things moving and to promote the kind of economic development we're talking about. I think that that's, to the nip and tuck thing, like I feel like incremental progress is our goal as legislators. No ordinance is ever going to be perfect. You never nail it. And like, that's it. Like, it's good. You're always going to have to adjust. I don't think there's anything wrong with, it's not an admission that what the previous council did when they established the overlay district was wrong. It's just an adjustment. And I feel like incremental improvements should be rewarded. I mean, I think that that's a good thing that we should be trying to seek. So again, I think the other thing, when we look at Madi, you have business owners who are grandfathered in the other part of the gateway overlay, who are trying to grow their business, and they're moving, even though it's going to be a more expensive location, they want to move into the larger, nicer, newer, modern looking areas within the district. And I feel that all that does is promote for the owners that are renting to businesses like, hey, we're going to have to make our locations nicer to kind of keep up with the Joneses. Again, I think that for parking reasons, allowing service retail is the right thing to do. I think it brings in the right mix because those people aren't going to be here late all night. It allows people to come in for dinner, and it doesn't put so much strain in terms of parking. I think it's going to allay concerns that we have about the vacancies, because I think it's going to be very difficult to fill just with that narrow scope of retail and restaurant. I think it's going to make things more consistent and more fair. I think it's going to absolve us of the legal entanglements that we have because the city, our former city planner messed up and allowed, approved twice in writing. And I think it's also going to, fix the fact that other business owners who saw that had the green light to move forward. I think for all the reasons that we've been talking about for months, this was the right thing to do. And I think that I get that the reason you have a second reading is to mull it over more, but we were on board. Then we had the first reading and we were on board, and now we're coming for the second reading. And now I feel like we're going to kind of punt the ball or go in a different direction. And I just think that it leaves us, I think it's just not the right thing to do. It's just my opinion. I respect the opinions of everyone, but that's where I stand on the issue.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm in agreement to the sense of having some flexibility with the use, but I'm not in agreement for these small incremental steps to get this ordinance correct, because it takes time. And to me, the language in there, to me, is not what I like to see. The uses itself, it's good, but in reference to the particular streets and what they want to have the use, one is primary, one's secondary, I think that's going to open up possible legal litigation from other property owners. And we have to be fair to all property owners, whether you live in Miami Springs or you've been here 30 years with the business. Everybody has the same right to be fair.
I'm going
So to me,
anyone in the audience, if you'd like to speak, please step outside.
So to
Respect courtesy.
so to me, it's everybody is part of this process. So I'm not saying that the use, I think it needs some flexibility. I also believe that we need to kind of put, and it's hard to, with the language wise, and I've spoken to obviously the city attorney about putting percentage, because I think at the end of the day, if you leave it open, the developer or the property owners will take the least resistance because they want to occupy the building. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, there's this purpose behind this district. It is to get more options in retail, and some of the retail will need other retail to succeed. So I want to be very clear. I am in favor of the flexibility with the uses that we're talking about and the language about the uses. But when it comes to the particular streets, I think that's unfair to other property owners. And to me, the way I'd like to see this is for now is that we come back with the correct language for all property owners in the district, not just the ones that are affected by the town center. Because the reality is, due to the fact that we do have a legal situation, all these other property owners pretty much piggybacked on their back. Because before, there's other uses have been here that they've tried to go there and they realized the zoning was what it was, and they went to Westward Drive and opened up businesses in Westward Drive. So we're not denying them to go open a business in Miami Springs. That's what the zoning was about. But to just change it without some consideration to all people in this district, I don't think it's correct. So I'm in favor of the uses and the flexibility with the uses and a lot of this language, but we're gonna get it right. And it's at this point, considering all the information that's been put onto this ordinance, it's not gonna be as time consuming as maybe starting from scratch, but definitely to disregard the rest of the property owners in that district is not correct. These things do take time. But at this point, I think we should bring it back, striking the language, especially on the particular streets. And everybody, in my opinion, the whole district should have this flexibility.
I'm in favor of
Thank you,
that.
Councilman. And anyone else have any?
To
Council
the chair.
Yes.
I'm already set on my decision. I made my decision last meeting, and I am in favor with isolating the situation with the vets, and I've been very vocal and clear about that. Something struck me a little bit of a CYA comment, and the way that, I mean, for me, I don't CYA myself. I just take the matter at hand. I see what's before me and I make a right decision based on my perception and what I'm looking at and the background and information that I've been given. I study it, I take my time, I talk to my residents, I talk to my business owners. I never ignore my business owners, whether it's contentious or not. I mean, I've had discussions with Madi and we're gonna have our disagreements, right? So I think a CYA is making maybe a bad decision where you shouldn't be making that decision. You personally, we're all individuals and we make our own decisions the way that we see them. But there's other options here in this gateway that these businesses could have taken. So there's two other buildings that were extensively renovated. Wait, let me finish. They were extensively renovated. At that time, I think this town center, I wasn't in the game, but I think this was already coming up from 2018. As a business owner myself, if I wanted to be in a new building, I would go. I know that many of you went to the meetings, see what ordinances are being put in place to make sure that's where I want my future. I want to make sure those ordinances comply with my business, or what we can go ahead and start negotiating so that I can make sure to establish my business there. Okay, I can't wait a couple months down the line. I can't, I understand the contentions, but there are other options here in this gateway. Now, if we miss the boat, we miss the boat. Okay, on Westward, there has been, I don't know, a beautiful, what's the dentistry called? I passed by there the other day. I didn't realize she moved from one location to the other. She did a beautiful job. She invested her time, her money. She from the curb appeal from the street, you can tell she renovated. I mean, if we can start getting business owners to do that in those off of Westward and those individual properties, that's gonna upscale you. I mean, I'm really sorry that this fabricated this way, but this ordinance, the way that it is written and drafted, it's too tailored. So I have, if I say yes to you guys, then I'm going to be affecting other businesses in the area. Because if we do this, then their uses, their changes, their renovate, I don't know what's going on there. So I have to make sure that whatever change that I do, you and everybody else in the surrounding areas can be there. And it should be even throughout. I mean, I unfortunately I wasn't on the council then, but if I would have been presented with this type of ordinance, I would have voted no against it and approached it more uniformly. But yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with George and with Mayor. I do want to help my businesses. Okay, I own 3 businesses, but I do know that when I see opportunities where, let's say, town center is not an opportunity, at least not at this time, I'm going to jump on my next best solution. So that's where I stand. I'm not changing from last time. You had the majority of the support. If they change, I'm not sure. But this is a community decision. It's not specifically a business decision.
Yeah.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, just a second. Let's allow Councilman Vasquez.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
Mayor.
And I want to repeat again, and if it happens again, if I hear comments, I'm going to clear the room. Because we were very courteous and we listened to everyone who spoke, who signed up. And this is an opportunity for us to listen to each other. And we can't if we're hearing comments and murmurs from there. And those around you can't hear, okay? So if it happens again, I'm going to ask everyone to clear the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've been taking some notes and listening, and I listened to everyone who spoke here earlier today. So I was concerned about this resolution, I mean, this ordinance, but not for the same reasons that we were talking about here, right? I always saw the situation with Dr. Gutierrez, and I'm sorry that was done, and that needs to be rectified. That issue with what happened with the city needs to be rectified somehow. Okay, so I'm not sure that this is going to take care of it, but I see that a little different from opening up the other occupancies, the uses that I voted for last week, right? That the services, excuse me, and so forth. And I want you to understand, because I've gotten calls from all of you and emails and so forth like that. The way I see it is we open up the uses opportunities in the building, right? To accommodate some of the things that you want to do. It's not up to us who actually goes in there, right? That's up to the developer and the landlord with you all and any other one and anyone else that's interested in going in there. So I'm in support of passing that part of the resolution that said we're going to open it to services and I forgot the correct wording, so I'm not, services and other personal services and so forth. So I don't have a problem with that, right? I support the mayor's idea to have the attorney sit with the attorney, Mr. Gutierrez, and try to work that matter out. I understand that some of you feel that we need other verbiage in here, other things that clarify. I was clear on at least that part. What we were doing was we were opening, we were changing, expanding the uses in the building, first floor, from just retail and restaurants and so forth to expand it to include that definition. All right, that, and I'm good with that, right? That's who gets in there and who doesn't get in there is up to the person that's doing the rentals. And what I do know, and I'm pretty sure about this, ladies and gentlemen, and this is just my opinion, right? I don't know how long it's going to take for this building to open, but that's the whole 20 pesos, as we say in Puerto Rico, right? That's a whole other issue. I don't know when that's going to be done, but the idea that we expand the opportunities for personal services, and I agree with that. I agree with that. We need to continue to look at codes, and I know that sometimes because we're looking at a specific project, right? That our conversations, some of our decisions may not be fully fleshed out in terms of how they impact the whole business district, right? And I agree with Councilman Fahet and that, and with Councilman Santeen, that we need to make those adjustments, and we may need to come back to this for those purposes, but you know, I think we've given, I mean, we agree, right, to give the attorney direction on this issue. Dr. Gutierrez, is that my time?
No, sorry,
I
that.
didn't know, I don't have a time. You know, I just want to make sure that I address, you know, the other thing. You know, I thought we made a decision last week about, you know, those services, and I stick to that, and I'm good with that. Do we have to do some other things in the district? For sure, right? I think that we still need to look at some things and some complaints that we've gotten from other businesses about some of the issues that they may have that don't have anything to do with whether you open up a service, a professional service in that building, but are issues that we need to consider in terms of, and I agree with everyone I said, we need to be fair to all businesses who want to open up a business in the district, not just the building. Okay? And if the, you know, several of you move into that new building, God willing, the places that you vacate are then going to have to be available, and we, you know, and all kinds of other things have to happen so that it's not a vacant building or vacant office or vacant space for a long period of time. I think that we're all clear on, and we've all been working diligent, and I think we now have the beginnings of a real good plan to develop all business areas of the city. 36th Street, the Abraham Tract, and all of what is the central part of the city, including westward and so forth. We all have that interest, and we have brought some people on board to help us to think strategically about how we approach these other areas and not to be doing things piecemeal. So I think that you can count on that from the city council, that we are going to be, this is not going to be, this is not just one decision or one conversation. Economic development, from the time I came on council, that's what I came here to do. I'm not interested in raising taxes. I want to raise revenues. And revenues come from public investors, right? And we went through this a couple of months ago in terms of our budget, right? We have some differences here that we need to improve on our revenue side. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Fahet.
Yes, thank you. I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing, because I've heard from several of you who have said that from Councilman Santeen, and I think Councilman Vasquez, I think that people want to get this done right. And the carpenter's adage that you got to measure twice and cut once. The only I know that some people are saying that this isn't just about town center. It's not about town center. It's just that that's the only new construction. What we're talking about is how this affects new construction. They're the only new construction project. And I would like to, I fear that it's limiting us having more new construction projects because it's so limited, you know, what we're allowing in terms of permissible uses on the first floor. But I'm encouraged because it sounds to me that there is some consensus. Why wouldn't there be? Because we proposed this, we had a first reading, and then there was consensus that there's consensus to do it. We just got to adjust some things. I heard some concerns about like this particular streets. I'm all for tweaking this to get it right. And I think that everybody in this room would be in favor of being just a little bit more patient for us to tweak this to get it right so that we're all on board. I fear that trying to just single out the veterinarian and come to a settlement, which it appears to me, it sounds like what we're trying to do is let them in for a finite amount of time. I don't think that that's the right solution. I feel like I hear enough consensus here that if we just take a little more time and get it right, I think and this is what I've been saying from the beginning, that this could be a win-win-win. Again, for me, I have no, I could care less about the developer. I want to see storefronts that are not empty, and I want to see that being vibrant with businesses and people. And I want just as you guys to get it right. I mean, obviously there is a timing issue because there are some, like I said, some legal entanglements and some other business owners that are paying rent because of the kind of the mixed signals that they got from the city that was approving other medical uses and services. So if I'm hearing correctly, it sounds like there's a consensus to do this right. So my question, I mean, do we have to like get into settlement talks? Because I feel like not only would both sides have to agree to settlement talks, but they would agree to get into settlement talks, right? Because the sense that I get is that for some parties involved, patience is kind of running short in terms of how long this is taking. So I would be on board with taking just a little more time, making sure that everybody's concerns are allayed in terms of the exact verbiage of how we do this. But I feel like we are on the cusp of doing something that's going to be a win-win and help get this project moving and get people in there. And I would favor us finding that solution rather than just isolating one business owner and trying to come to an agreement if that would even be possible. I'd rather we, like you said, let's look at this a little more holistically. Let's get it right for the whole district and also get it right for future development projects that I think are being held up because, again, we need this adjustment and we need to open the strike zone a little bit because right now we have that one big new construction project and it feels like everything else is on hold. So I feel like this is an opportunity for us to get it right for absolutely everybody. And I would totally be on board for that. Heidi, you.
If I may, I've been listening to all of your comments and it sounds like there's more consensus now than when we first started.
Right.
And so from what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing you all correctly, it sounds like one of the concerns with the proposed ordinance is that certain uses are limited to certain types of streets. So that is an easy change. And with your permission, I've gone ahead and this is what the ordinance could look like. And we could simply eliminate those street frontages. So if you see, this is the ordinance that you actually have before you tonight. What I've done is I've stricken in red is what would be stricken. So you would, I think to Councilman Santin and Fahad and possibly others, you were concerned of the actual streets where these items might be taking place. This could just open up office use district-wide. It could open up personal services district-wide, and it could open up the veterinary use district-wide. And if those are the amendments that you're comfortable with, we can certainly.
And Heidi, I think and I know Roger is on, and Roger is the one who started us on this. I know that the streets were included, and I understand that the streets can include for the projects, right? So I want to be mindful of that. But with the distance requirements and Vice Mayor Bravo brought up the point we did it. I thought it was a good idea to even expand the distance requirements with the distance requirements so that you don't have, two salons right next to each other. Like maybe we don't need the specific street restrictions, right? We just use the distance requirements. I just feel like we are so close. We have been at this for a long time. We've had local business owners and residents begging us for this. It's been in the media, it's been reported. We're here, they all bought t-shirts. I feel like we're so close that I feel like we can, it doesn't have to be today, but like we're close. We're here. I really feel that getting into settlement talks now and it is just, that's like, I feel like we're snatching defeat out of the mouth of victory. And after last Saturday in Georgia Tech, that wouldn't want that.
Question, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I think just the reality, what Councilman Fayette said, I think you guys, I know you guys have had a lot of time to get to this point. Some are more than others. But this is the reality of any zoning change. It takes time. And this is so close because we're directing our city planner to actually just tweak on something that has been being worked on for a little while. So to me, to be patient for, I know you're going to say, well, yeah, it's easy for you to say, but the reality is we do have to be fair to everybody. And this, in this district, and we're talking about something that might just take another meeting, maybe at worst 2 meetings after that, but it's around the corner. These people have written this ordinance to the T. A long corner, a lot of people, wait, patience,
Sorry.
zoning takes time. You can ask people on 36th Street and Abraham Track how long it's taken. So just because of the situation with the vet, this got expedited, believe it or not.
In the midst of us working on the budget, like we've had our hands full.
We had our hands full of a lot of other stuff, but the point is, this is really around the corner. And to me, I think it's fair to think about everybody in the district and considering that we're directing our city planner to just get these little things corrected so we can talk about it in the next council meeting in 2 weeks, I think is more than fair.
Through the chair, I have a question
Yes, sir.
about what got struck there on 3D in uses. Because I'd heard streets mentioned, and I had a note on, I forgot to ask the question. I think it was Councilman Santeen that brought it up, but now that I see it right there. Basically we're saying that personal services, like any other sector of business, going there can go anywhere in the first floor. Because I think that was written that way, because that would be the street where they could and should be. But I understand the argument from the other side about limiting and also other businesses that are on the other side of Hook Square. Am I understanding that correctly? I'm just wondering why this came up. And it was, I think it was Councilman Santeen who raised it. I just want to be clear on this. And we're looking at striking it out, one way or the other, but it's just, I want to be clear on that.
Yeah, this is
Mayor, the
way-
one thing I would add, I mentioned this in all of our one-on-one briefings with staff, and I think I also mentioned it at the first meeting. On line 98, I would like to exclude massage parlors. Sorry for people that are fans.
I want to make something clear. I'm not going to vote on any changes that we have up here
No.
now like this. I need time to look at them in detail and consider them. So,
I'm not asking for a vote. I'm just making,
right. So,
yes.
uh,
So
I, definitely.
So I just
are
want to
not
be clear
voting
on that particular 3D where I was saying
Mhm.
that we are taking out along Hook Square frontage only, which, as I understand it, which means that you can have personal services on any level.
Well, and I
I'm just asking.
And okay, and I think that those are the concerns that I have and some of us on the council. And again, this is the process. You have a first hearing so that you propose something and then you open it up to hear comments, pro and con, and you adjust. And that's the exact purpose so that we're not making rash decisions at something that, that hadn't been thought of. I'm guessing all of you have gotten a lot of input from business owners and residents that are concerned about these changes that we're making as to, one of my concerns is exactly with the nip and tuck is that what happens with the next building that wants to go up and now they want this other retail, we're going to change the ordinance because they're requesting, I just don't think that's good governance. I think we're talking about an area. We're talking about a major area that has been delineated as the Gateway District. The purpose of it was there, yet, and I'm all for us, like I've said, we need to evolve, always we need to evolve. But evolving is not making quick little decisions here and there. And then what happens with the next one? Well, we made this decision. I think it takes, for such a big project, a lot of thought. And these issues that are raised, I'm all for welcoming all new businesses to Miami Springs. I want you to do well. But this, the way we've been addressing this, I believe has been, I'm sure of it, has been because of one little area, and that's just not good governance for our community. So again, with Dr. Gutierrez, it's, we need to address that. We need to let him get on with his business. So if the settlement is the fastest way to do that, if we're talking about coming back here, I see it as not necessarily the next meeting. It still may take more meetings. Look, the building was supposed to be completed in 2020 and it's still not even completed. So, for us to be rushing to make these decisions, Councilman Santin, you brought up a concern that I have with the streets. Why are we all of a sudden limiting? And now we're saying, well, you know what, the intent of the gateway, let's just do it on South Royal Poinciana and Curtis Parkway. And if we release it and allow any kind of business there, then basically Curtis Parkway and the rest of the gateway will be what I've said is the same old, which is what we were trying to avoid is the situation that we have on Westward Drive that, they're wonderful businesses and, we appreciate them, but we were trying to create a different business district. Councilman Fahet, you brought up Merrick Village. The pediatrician that your son goes to is on the 3rd floor. It's not on the 1st floor and it's not on the 2nd floor. It's not allowed on the 1st floor. I doubt it's allowed on the 2nd floor because I think that's all retail too. So he's on the 3rd floor. I beg your pardon? So he's on the 3rd or 2nd floor, but it's not on the 1st floor. So all of these things are decisions that were made with Merrick Village when it was allowed to open. And these are things that, when the next developer comes, and I'm hoping, he comes or the next change or whatever happens, we shouldn't be all of a sudden saying, oh, well, now they want this, let's change the ordinance to accommodate this. Let's give it, the attention that it merits if we're really serious about a gateway district that, brings a different kind of business atmosphere to Miami Springs. And with that said, I don't know that we can defer this.
You actually, Mayor, you can defer second reading.
Okay.
But in order for us to do that, I do need, it sounds like a terrible thing to say, but I need clear direction from you all. And so the clearest direction I got was what I was able to come up with on the spot. That's an easy fix.
The streets.
Which is why I did it while sitting here. If there are other changes that you want to make, such as the massage parlor item, that's an easy, massage parlors are not a permitted use, period. Anything beyond that, then yeah.
I'm concerned also with if we want retail and restaurants in the main areas and we're allowing it, why Canal Street, Nakota and Hook Square, and now all of a sudden the gateway is only Curtis, that little part of Curtis, which is not much. And with the storefront, if you have an opening then on Canal Street, then really you can take up all of Curtis, and basically any business can be on Curtis because the store, the opening is not on Curtis, it's on Canal Street, or, this just, and we're getting there. I agree. I think we're all getting there. I think we're all getting a sense of, and we all want to support the businesses that want to be there in the new building and in other areas of the gateway. I think we're all concerned about the issue with the veterinary clinic and Dr. Gutierrez and trying to, I believe we're all on board with that and trying to expedite that situation. The developer knows what kind of businesses this was, so if he was signing leases with others and stuff, I can't get involved with that, but it was very clear what was allowable uses at the Gateway District.
Through the chair.
However, Dr. Gutierrez did speak with our planner twice, so we need to rectify that. And what would be the most expeditious way for us to do that without
So
did you want to say something, Councilwoman? Yes.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you just said, I mean, there's already businesses that have signed leases there and they were promised an area where there's going to be retail and restaurants. And perhaps if they had the opportunity to not sign a lease because they didn't want a specific type of business next to them, that's not fair to them either. However, I do want to see a better ordinance, something that's more uniform, that's fair for all, because this is causing a domino effect. I'm for progression. Since I've been on council, I've been for movement. I've been for change. That's super disrespectful. I don't appreciate that. Okay. I'm here serving you for pennies and I really like what I do. That's a good thing. But the question here is, I think that this needs a revision and it needs more thought.
So Mayor and Council, I think I'm happy to make as many revisions as council would like. But as you all know, and for the benefit of the public, the only time that we're able to engage in a collective discussion is here in the sunshine
Right.
at a public meeting. So I think either we need to schedule a workshop on this ordinance and we can do that sometime later this month. But at that time, I would really need all of you to bring me what your ideas are, and we'll certainly work with the planning staff with ideas. And simultaneously, I'm happy to, I know that there's competing concerns here. There's a veterinarian who rightfully should be addressed. And I think we have consensus on that.
Not from me, though.
I'm sorry?
I feel like we should get this right, even if it means getting I mean, there may be consensus. I want to be
No,
clear.
What I'm trying to say, Councilman, is we can run two tracks at the same time. And so to the extent that the veterinarian and his counsel are willing to have a discussion, and I would invite that discussion so that we can address it. Okay. Then we can have that discussion and we can also make changes to the ordinance. And if we're able to come to a resolution, I think all of us are trying to come to a resolution. And that's the point here. So
And let me ask the attorney, are you willing to have a discussion with our city attorney? Just yes or no?
I can't answer this or not. I have more information to give the council. That's all. I'm not gonna be put on the spot to answer.
Right, I understand. Okay, so we don't know. if they'll
And
be able
so,
to or not.
and that's also the issue, right? That you need to be aware of. If they're not willing to engage, and you know, then you have other decisions to make.
But I think the encouraging thing is that from what I'm hearing, right, there is consensus that we want to do this holistically and do it right. And if we can signal to everyone more than we already have through what I'm interpreting, that that we're close, that we're, and especially if we schedule a workshop to get this ironed out so that all we need to do is a second reading. She just needs, again, I feel like we got the win. We just got to take the knee. Coach Cristobal.
And again, it's second reading just on uses.
Yeah, that's it.
Remember when I started, and I
Yes,
just want to remind.
Yeah, it's just uses.
I know that there are other concerns with the ordinance.
So
And so we can start from scratch and redo the whole gateway overlay ordinance. That's okay. But we're starting from scratch. So I want you to know your options.
Everyone is in agreement that what we'll be discussing is the uses, a workshop for through the whole gateway district, which would mean that then this ordinance is, the second reading is just deferred.
We would
We're not
defer it and
starting-
renotice it for a new date. Yes.
Okay, what I had proposed was that we not vote on this
No, right.
reading, that we
That's
don't pass it
Mhm.
and we start over.
Mayor, can you address something? Because there's been media coverage on it. I know that it's unrelated, but do you want to address the other issues with the towns or things that are out of compliance that have nothing to do with this decision, or you don't want to address it all? All right, because JC said he was going to address it when.
During this.
I will, during my comments, I'll address it.
Okay, all right, during comments. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I'm supporting what our counselor has suggested. The scope of a workshop is to deal with this. Just uses, because we have other issues we need to put on the agenda for further discussions about things that have come up, not to do with uses.
Through the chair, I'm not, that, I want a whole new, like, we need usage. And we also need, there's certain verbiages in there that were not to be discussed during this meeting that actually let's say we do change this and, a doctor wants to renovate or do something, very different, that shouldn't impact them. They should be able to do that. There's a lot of terminology in there that's missing. So I think that we need to approach that as a wholesome, so we cover
Are
the
you talking about
usage.
beyond permissible uses?
Right, there's things there that are missing as well.
That may be.
This is not clarity.
Yeah, but you know, if we're gonna do this, you gotta provide protection for them in the future as well. So I don't know, in the next, you understand what I'm saying? So I don't think that
from
this
what
is-
you're saying is you're referring to if a doctor wants to do something. So that to me is referring somehow to a permissible use
And that's
that could be
missing in there.
incorporated in this, correct?
What I think the vice mayor is referencing is a concern, and this is what I was beginning my remarks with earlier this evening. You've received comments from a member of the community or certain members of the community who are unsure of whether the ordinance applies to certain aspects of the ordinance or the ordinance as a whole to renovations and remodeling.
Right.
And that revision to the ordinance is one that we can certainly make, but it wouldn't be part of this ordinance. Now, we can take the entire gateway overlay ordinance and make changes to clarify that, as well as to clarify the uses. All I'm saying is that if we did that, we would start with a first reading. So if you're comfortable with that, that's fine.
First reading on the other things or?
Whole thing.
Whole
on the
thing.
You
whole
can do
thing?
all at once. It would be one ordinance that addresses uses and any other changes. It would be a much broader ordinance. That's the point.
Okay.
And that's fine.
I-
Otherwise, you have an ordinance in front of you now that, you know,
Close.
sort of, it addresses, I think, what you've all requested.
Right.
I have no problem with starting with the first reading again, if we have to. Again, you know, this is just too big an issue, too important. We're talking about too big an area.
Mayor, can we schedule a workshop so at
So
least
we
we're
should-
signaling to the community that this is now something that we are committing to
Let's schedule a
getting it right and
workshop.
putting it to rest?
I think that's a good idea.
I'm open to coming to a workshop. I just want to get
let's-
it done.
Let me ask you this, Heidi. Can we defer the second reading?
That's what you.
And if we see during the workshop that we need to start with a whole new first reading, then we'll start.
That's fine. We don't need to
Right?
make that decision
decision
right now.
We don't have to start. How's that?
Okay.
Does that seem reasonable?
would
We'll-
be-
At the workshop, we'll decide. And if we can do it all with the second reading, we'll do it. If we feel that we have to start, we're talking about an extra meeting. You know, again, this is the kind of stuff later on that we're asking, well, why was this decided? Well, it was because, you know, we had this, you know, that nip and tuck is just, it's really, we're going to be better off doing this. And hopefully we can address the, you know, the permissible uses, the allowable uses to accommodate the business owners that want to be in this area, but it'll be fair across the board for the whole Gateway District, not a knee-jerk reaction to.
Mayor, so that we can be prepared accordingly. We'll have a workshop then on the Gateway Overlay District ordinance. Not just uses, just the whole thing.
Okay.
And then based on the feedback that we receive at that workshop, we will then draft the ordinance, whether it's an amendment just to this
Just that,
ordinance
Correct.
or a brand new ordinance. We will make that decision once we get your feedback. I want that to be clear.
All right, we can just go straight to the second reading. If we decide after the workshop, then we only want to tackle
The permissible use.
permissible use. And then we can say, well, we're going to tackle the other couple items that are minor, you know, next couple of meetings for a first reading, but we can do it that way too.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's fine.
That sounds good to me.
So are we all in agreement?
Yes.
with that?
yes,
And we'll
yes, ma'am.
schedule the workshop as soon as possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you.
So Mayor, just for the record, can we get a motion to defer the ordinance?
Motion to defer the ordinance.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. And Erica, you'll try to schedule a workshop as soon as
I have
possible.
a few dates in
Reach out.
mind. If
No. No, no.
Heidi?
When you'd like to speak with me outside, I'm happy to discuss that with you instead of speaking out of turn. I'm happy to speak with you outside about it.
Okay. Could you wait? We're just about finished and then you can speak with our attorney outside. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Between the lines,
Okay,
dude.
so let's move to let's see, we're at the consent
Consent,
agenda,
consent, yes.
item 9A. Is there a motion? No problem. For consent agenda, item 9A.
Second.
Motion to approve 9A.
Okay, any discussion? This is an agreement with Full Moon Creative for LLC for our audiovisual services to continue that. And they've been doing a great job. Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, we go to other business, a vote of confidence for our city manager as required by section 4.022 of the city charter. And
Me.
Motion.
I will
Very
say- I will
suddenly
say-
after-
Motion.
In the last 2 weeks.
Right,
In the last 2 weeks, I've been blown
It's
away.
been a month now. So, and I do
Mayor, I like
appreciate
to,
it.
I like to move. I like to move 12A, motion to approve.
Okay,
I have some
Second.
discussion.
second it. You'd like discussion?
Let me get
Yes,
my
sir.
notes out. No, just kidding. Obviously. Go ahead.
Just JC, thank you. I think we're moving. I know a lot has have been happening this first month that you're here, but at least from my interaction with you, I'm very optimistic and energized and happy about the progress that we're doing and your input. So
Well, thank you so much, Mayor. It truly is a pleasure.
thank
And
you.
I, and
Yes.
as having made the motion, I kidded with him the other day because we were meeting about the agenda and I said, well, I don't know how to think about that. But seriously, I echoed the words of the mayor, you know, you hit the ground running in a very difficult moment particularly. And I think that I am completely satisfied of the work that you've done thus far. And I think that it's a good measure moving forward. And that's why I made the motion. So I'm in favor of this motion. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So if there's no more discussion, call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Santeen,
Yes.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. We move to city attorney. Any reports, any recommendations?
No, Mayor.
Okay, and from our city manager?
Yes, Mayor, I have a few things and I'll try to keep it brief. First of all, thank you very much for your vote of confidence. It has been a month now. And I will say that I had big shoes to fill. William was a very well respected in the field. And although I've not met him personally, I do have a lot of respect for him and hold him in high regard. So that being said, in my first 30 days, I have noticed that there are a number of changes that have to, and I'm not going to say changes there, it's more updates that need to happen, whether it's to the zoning code, the city code, the employee handbook. There's just a lot of changes that I see, but as they say, the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So we're focused at the task at hand to continue the city moving forward. That being said, I have, the finance department, I wanted to report that the finance department is working with the department heads on accepting Apple Pay and Google Pay, in particular with the recreation department. That's been a request. And also, one thing I noticed is that our credit card fee is like $10 for a transaction, and that's extremely high. So we need to bring that down and come to modern times.
tomorrow, Shannon from our office, our PIO, is going to be hosting a social media training for our department heads. A request came from Parks and Recreation to see if they can have access to the social media for their recreation page, because they wanted to do, like, for example, when the tournament that they had, they wanted to do a live shot from there, take a live feed. And I thought it was a great idea. I did. And this was a suggestion that Shannon provide training to make sure that we're all following the standards set forth by the city. She prepared a nice training. I believe she's gonna do an excellent job tomorrow, but I wanted to share that we're gonna try to expand our exposure and have promote ourselves a little more. And that she's not gonna be able to be at every event, so that's what we're doing. I wanted to give an update on the FDOT Iron Triangle. We've been trying to get them to provide us an update, and we're still waiting to hear back from them. They have a number of projects that they're working on, and they're going to have a workshop on apparently 2 other projects, but we're waiting to hear back from 36 regarding the Iron Triangle. Once we do, I'll share that with you. There have been concerns about the town center. There was an email from a business owner here in town that sparked a lot of fear that we're allowing the developer, that they haven't built it according to what was approved, to the approved plans, and that we're looking the other way, or whatever the insinuations were. And that's not true. We are, they're still under construction. And when they get to the point of their TCO, we're going to look, and whatever hasn't been built, we're going to ask them, no, you got to comply with what was requested, with what you agreed to build. I'm not asking the developer to build anything more or less than what was promised. That's what we want to hold them to. But they're still under construction, so we have to give them a chance to finish the project. Make no mistake about it. If they can't build it or whatever, it will come back before you guys. And the reasons, whatever reason they give, it'll be for you guys to approve or reject. But I've already spoken with Calvin Giordano. We're going to be looking at the plans and comparing it to what was actually built, because out of transparency, we need to know what was promised, what wasn't built, what's not built yet. But we do need to give them a chance to finish, because they haven't even requested for the TCO yet. So all this may be for naught, hopefully. And let's see what else. That's it. That's my report.
Thank you, JC. Okay, let's start with the Vice Mayor.
Okay, so let's see. I really don't have much to say. I'm looking forward to a workshop. I think it's really important to get the current pulse of the community, see what they want, because I believe that based on the ordinance in the gateway originally was to promote nightlife, restaurant, retail. Perhaps the landscape has changed. I'm not sure. I'm just really hoping that people come out and voice their opinions, because I do remember people, the community at a whole at one point really desired what was proposed. And we're just really asking whatever was proposed to us, we really just want to see it. We're really hesitant on the change. But again, the workshop will, I think, bring to light maybe possible changes, maybe shed some light of something else. So a workshop to the public, I think, is in dire need right now, since we are considering to look at the gateway as a whole change. I don't think I have anything else today. I just wanted to have a little moment of silence for Israel. If we can do that for a couple seconds. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you to all my colleagues. I mean, once again, we've gone through very rough patches, and we've always figured out solutions. And even though we might not feel it in the moment, as time goes by, I feel more confident we've made the right decisions. So that's why we have five minds up here, and it's better than one, right? So I could be a no, you could be a yes, and then later on down, maybe I'll see the light, right? But that's just where we are. 10 eyes, 10 eyes. And I hope that there's just no hard feelings. We're just really trying to be transparent, which is what the community is always asking us to do. So when we're actually doing it, we still we still get some hard times, but I'm not taking it personal. I'm here to serve you. I have an open door policy. People call me all the time. Whether it's going to be a heavy conversation or not, I'm still going to be here. That's what I signed up for, and that's what I swore to under oath. So thank you. That's it.
Councilman Behet.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody. I think that I'm encouraged by the discussion we had today. I think that we're gonna get it right. So thank you to all of you. Councilman Vasquez and I both went to the services at Grace Lutheran for Yvonne Schoenberger, who was an unbelievable advocate for the city of Miami Springs and for preservation of the history of Miami Springs and the Historical Society and the museum. And I wanted to propose, and hopefully we could get consensus because members of her family and members of the Historical Society, of which I am a member, wanted to honor her legacy, because you guys may be reminded that when the fire happened at the Stadnick building, like she took all those artifacts and stored them in her own house and stored them at expense to her. She preserved the history of Miami Springs. That was one of the most important things in her life was our city. And I think it would be appropriate. I know that there are some challenges, and I'll leave that up to staff, but I think it would be appropriate to rename a section of East Drive between Oakwood and LeBaron, which is right where the museum is, and name that section of East Drive after her. I think that would be very appropriate. And that's a request that was given to me by members of the Historical Society and of her family, and I think it would be appropriate. I know that that's a county road, and I know and I mentioned that to her family when they brought it up, that adds kind of an extra wrinkle, but I know that it can be done.
This can be done. We just have to go through the commission and the county. But I think that's a lovely idea.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Vasquez.
Yes, I was, as the councilman said, I was at service. I didn't know her personally, but it was wonderful to hear, what she did after that fire. It's just amazing. So I think it's a county road, and it just takes a little bit more, but I don't see why this would be a big hurdle, especially you're suggesting that part of East Drive that goes past where the museum is. I think that's completely appropriate. And I just, in terms of reports, I just wanted to share something with you that I may have mentioned in the past, and I don't have a report from the city. I just have this kind of point of personal privilege, and that is that, as you all know, that I was a professor and a dean and all that for over 30 years. I retired from Miami-Dade College, and I have stayed to teach a couple of courses, and I taught one course in the spring and one in the winter, and I think I'm going to retire from teaching. But the other hat that I wore was as a scholar and as academic, and I published 3 books, and I'm working on publishing a 4th book. And so I get calls periodically to do some talks, like I was last week at Villanova University, just outside of Philadelphia. And NBC6 wants to do something with me. They're going to tape something this week because I continue to work to do my academic scholarship work. And it's something that I love to do. I love being city councilman, but I love researching and writing. And so I just, putting that bug in your ear that this is something that's close and dear to my heart. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, Councilman, Councilman Senti. We rotate around. Okay.
Well, just one on a lighter note, I guess, but everybody's reallocated what we've already been confirming, that we're going to do the best to expedite this. We're all on the same page about the uses and the flexibility. That's a huge obstacle. So we're getting it done. And then I'd like to see if we could get direction or consensus from the council and direct the city manager to speak to the Centennial Committee, Historical Society Museum, which Yvonne wrote a good article on the history of Miami Springs Golf Course. The golf course is actually 100 years old. And we're thinking maybe it's possible to, for the opening of the golf course, the Rotary Club will have the first tournament, December 16th, to maybe do some type of event, you know, in collaboration with the Centennial Committee, so we can kind of lead into all the great things we're going to do. I talked to Kenneth Wild. He's willing to provide, you know, a slideshow, pictures, you know, maybe get people from the community and civic leaders to meet, you know, meet and greet or cheese and wine or whatever, but just something to get the ball rolling. But we need to also at the same time celebrate the 100 years of our golf course and the history of the golf course.
Right.
So maybe it's perfect timing.
So
So
like a
hopefully
grand opening and a
yeah,
celebration with the
with the Rotary's having,
Said
like I said,
Ro-
December
yeah.
16th is
Okay.
what on paper has been written as the opening. We're going to be the first tournament. So maybe something like that would be ideal. So we can direct city manager to talk to them. I've
I
talked.
think
to
we're
them.
all in agreement with that, right?
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything else, Councilman?
No, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be brief too. I wanted to, thank you, Vice Mayor, for bringing up Israel. I think, you know, what's happening there is, just, so saddened, and worried and, you know, for world peace. You know, we can think that these things are far away from us, but they really, can impact us at any moment. So our thoughts and prayers with Israel. And I wanted to mention, I was at the Florida League of Cities, serving on the legislative committee, taxation and finance last week in Orlando. And, you know, really a great gathering of the people on the committee that are preparing for the legislative session for 2024 of trying to find certain issues that can't be all, but, you know, certain major issues that impact municipalities to try to get our state legislators to either come up with bills or to change bills or amendments to bills to better for the purpose of, you know, making our municipalities economically stronger. So it was a very productive meeting. There's another one in at the end of November, which is the last one before the legislative session starts. And one of the things I just wanted to mention at that meeting, I thought this was great. We had a presentation from the state Economic and Demographic Research Department, and they're creating a series of, I don't even know how to explain it, but anyway, it's going to be IT that municipalities can access so that when we want to find, right now it's so complicated. I know, you know, when we want to find out an issue, and I'll ask our city manager, can you dig this up? And it depends on where you look to try to find out this kind of monetary, financial, taxation types of impacts to the city, or what we're paying or what other cities are paying. And they're making this new system that's going to be fantastic. It's still being worked on, and they were asking for our input. But basically, all of us will be able to look at the same data that we want and share it when we're talking with other municipalities. Say, you know, look at this graph that I just created, and you can create the graph. So I'm really excited about that, and particularly because they're asking the municipalities for input on the kind of data that you want to see there. You know, what is helpful for you, and they are asking for stakeholders who want to actually work with them. So I was going to let JC know if there's anyone in our city that they think, you know, can spend a little bit of time. This is the development is right now. They're in the test, kind of not even testing phase yet, developing a bit. I'm really excited about it because a small community like ours, it's really hard to get, you know, the data that we need sometimes. We know our data, but when we want to compare ourselves to other municipalities, other counties and stuff, there's only so much available. So with that said,
Wait, Mayor, I'm sorry if you're gonna adjourn. Or,
yes,
I think
Tammy, I'm sorry. Did you have some stuff, Tammy? Certainly, I
have the October 20th is the pumpkin carving contest at the Miami Springs Aquatic Center. There'll be prizes for best traditional, best, most creative, and best overall. There's also going to be a costume contest for all ages on October 20th. There also will be 4 prizes for that. We have the Hollow Springs on October 28th. At the Circle from 5 to 9, you can purchase your wristbands at the community center. Residents are $8, non-residents are $20. And then we have Miami Springs Lions Club is holding their Oktoberfest on Saturday, October 21st. And it's going to be from 5 to 6. And they are selling admission tickets with dinner and a drink. That's all.
Thank you, Tammy. And I heard that the Women's Club, I was out of town, but that the Women's Club Rich's
It was
Pride event
fantastic.
was fantastic. That
Fantastic.
the Women's Club, like all our civic clubs, continue to outdo themselves with these community events. They're just always keep getting better and better, and we thank them for that. With that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.